I started OnlyFans during the pandemic just to survive. Then a famous influencer noticed me, flew out for a private collaboration, and 6 years later he still hasn't aged while every creator who worked with him has completely disappeared from the internet. I was an OnlyFans creator during the pandemic. My name is Nate. I used to do OnlyFans during the pandemic. I was one of those thousands of desperate 20-somethings who lost their jobs, ran out of savings, swallowed their pride, and decided, if men are already creeping in my DMs, they might as well pay for it. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed either. It was survival. Rent doesn't care about your dignity. Before COVID, I was a barista and part-time bartender at a busy restaurant downtown. It was fine, not glamorous, but I liked the noise, the flirting, the dumb drama. I had my gym routine, my little circle of friends, crushes and dates that went nowhere. I posted the standard gay boy content on Instagram, locker room selfies, kitchen dancing, accidental underwear photos. Just one more thirsty gay among thousands. Then the pandemic hit. The restaurant shut temporarily. That turned into no shifts, no tips, no job. My roommate went back to her parents. I didn't have that privilege. I sat in an empty apartment and watched my savings dwindle to almost nothing. With nowhere to go, I started living on my phone. Everyone else did too. People were more present online, more bored, more willing to talk. My DMs filled with the usual flame emojis, hey handsome, you're cute, what gym do you go to? And more often, do you have OnlyFans? I'd always laughed it off. Sent a dumb emoji, said no. Then one day I opened my banking app and saw I had $32 left. Suddenly the question felt different. If they already wanted to look, why not charge? So I did it. I set up an account, picked a username that sounded hot but not too distinctive, posted a few teasers on Twitter and my IG story and pretended I wasn't shaking while I did it. I told myself it was a temporary pandemic side hustle. The learning curve was steep and embarrassing. The first month my content was awful. Bad lighting, stiff posing, obvious nerves. People subscribed anyway, first 8, then 20, then 50. My first payout was more than I'd ever made in a week at the cafe. That hit me harder than any compliment. After that, the months blurred. I figured out angles, bought a ring light, upgraded my phone and called it an investment. Income climbed, $1,000, then 2, then 3. My world shrank to my apartment, my phone, and the invisible crowd on the other side of the screen. I started doing small collabs with other guys in the same lane, but nothing huge. Just enough to feel like I was slowly climbing. If you've never done that kind of work, there's one thing you need to understand. When your income depends on strangers wanting to look at you, your whole life rearranges itself around the idea of being seen. What you eat, when you sleep, how often you exercise. Everything filters through. Will this make me look better or worse on camera? You're never alone, even when you're physically alone, because you're always aware of a phantom audience. I was deep in that mindset when he noticed me. It happened on a Tuesday night. I remember because the taco place across the street had a special and I decided I couldn't even afford discount tacos. I was lying in bed in old gym shorts, scrolling, trying to figure out what to film next. A notification slid down. Leandro Lux has replied to your story. At first I was sure it had to be a fake account. Even if you're not gay, you've probably seen his face. He was everywhere. Hottest men pages, fitness accounts, travel content, brand campaigns. That perfectly calibrated kind of male beauty that looks good in every city, every outfit, every filter. He wasn't just an OnlyFans guy or just an influencer. He did modeling, sponsored trips, guest appearances, little background cameos in movies and music videos. Celebrities followed him, designers dressed him. He'd even shown up at the Met Gala once. And there he was in my notifications. His message was simple. He told me I was really bright. That was it, but it hit like a truck. I checked his profile 3 times to make sure it was real. Checkmark, millions of followers, perfect grid. He'd seen a story of mine, some dumb thirst trap in my kitchen, and responded like I'd stood out from a crowd. You have to understand the headspace I was in. I hadn't been touched in months except by myself. I hadn't been out on a real date in even longer. My sense of self-worth was tangled up in subscriber counts and tips. Having him say I stood out didn't just flatter my looks. It made me feel like the universe had briefly turned a spotlight toward me and said, this one. I replied something awkward, the way people do when they're trying not to sound overeager. He told me he watched more than I thought, that I had a warmth he liked, and casually asked if I'd ever thought about collaborating, and then, at that time, I had no idea what was going to happen to me in the future. If I had known, I would never have talked to him. After that, things changed very fast. Within a week, my socials exploded. Followers, tips, subs, everything spiked. I started getting messages from people saying they'd found me through his story. Turns out he'd reposted one of my videos with a caption calling me obsessed and tagged my handle. One word from him and my life jumped to a new tier. Brands were suddenly in my DMs. Bigger creators followed me back. I was added to a group chat full of men I'd silently stalked and thirsted over for years. It felt like a door had opened and I'd finally been admitted to whatever was on the other side. Then he called. He used my full name like he'd always known it. His voice was lower than I expected. Calm, smooth, practiced. He said he was putting together a tiny, exclusive retreat at a luxury rental. Content, networking, relaxation. Everything taken care of, transportation covered, just a handful of male creators he'd personally handpicked. He said I had a glow he wanted to nurture and work more closely with. Lockdown was still technically a thing, but people with money were already traveling, partying, pretending it was over. I hadn't left the city in over a year. The idea of a house, a pool, meeting hot guys, being chosen by him, it was intoxicating. I said yes so fast I'm still embarrassed thinking about it. I got the confirmation email 10 minutes later, NDA attached. A glossy PDF explaining house rules. Privacy, no posting the location, no filming staff, no leaving the grounds without permission. It read like an official brand influencer trip, the kind agencies organize for big campaigns. My friends freaked out when I told them. Someone joked I'd be sacrificed. I joked back that if he was a vampire, he'd at least keep me hot forever. I wish I could go back and slap the phone out of my own hand. From the outside, the place looked like every luxury Airbnb you've ever seen on Instagram. White walls, big windows, a mirror-like pool, and plenty of spaces designed to photograph well. Beautiful in that sterile, expensive way that feels like no one actually lives there. The driver didn't talk much. My signal cut out long before we pulled into the driveway. Inside, something felt off almost immediately, and I couldn't articulate why after that something happened. I couldn't explain how. The lack of mirrors was the first thing that stood out. Anywhere you'd normally expect one, entryway, above the fireplace, bathroom sinks, there was either bare wall or abstract art. When I asked about it, one of the staff told me they preferred less distraction, more presence, with a tight smile that didn't match their eyes. The guest room assigned to me was gorgeous. Huge bed, high ceilings, a wall of blackout curtains, a bathroom bigger than my entire apartment. There was a little card on the nightstand with my name on it and a quote in looping script, "You are here to shine." Underneath, in smaller letters, "Curated by Lux." The other guys trickled in. I recognized a couple of them immediately in that embarrassing, heart-thumping way you do when you've seen someone in, well, action before. Tyler, the all-American golden boy with the kind of body sports brands love, and Diego, a Mexican swimmer type who did bilingual thirst content and sent money home to his family. There were others, Carter, Ray, each with their own carefully curated appeal, all of them gorgeous. All of them a little more subdued in person than they were online. Some of that was probably nerves. Some of it wasn't. Leandro arrived last. He looked exactly like he does on screen. It's hard to explain how unsettling that is. Most people look different off camera, softer, more textured, less precise. He didn't. In person, he had the same flawless, seemingly poreless skin, the same carved jawline, the same almost too bright eyes. He moved like he was being filmed even when he wasn't, always catching the light at the right angle without seeming to try. He greeted all of us, said the expected things about connection and vulnerability and letting our inner light come out. He called me bright again, told me he'd been excited to meet me in person, and when his attention was on me, the room felt like it was narrowing to just the two of us. That first day was carefully structured to feel casual and organic. Smoothies in the morning, a breathwork and yoga session by the pool, light filming that looked candid but was clearly choreographed, group meals that were supposedly relaxed but always staged around long tables and good lighting. He floated through it all like a host and a brand merged into one person. He was nice. I could see why people followed him. But there was something off. Something I told myself was just nerves or starstruck awe. At some point after lunch, he pulled me aside. He said he wanted to test our chemistry before doing anything big. No cameras, just the two of us to see how we were together off screen. He framed it as something professional, almost ethical, like he didn't want to sell a fantasy that didn't feel authentic. I went to his room before dinner. You don't need me to tell you what happened in detail. It happened. It was intense and strangely quiet. What matters is how my body reacted. Time didn't feel right in there. Things flickered. I'd close my eyes and open them what felt like a second later, only to realize my muscles burned like I'd been moving for ages. My fingers and toes went numb and never fully warmed up again. The room felt cold from the inside out, like someone was slowly pouring ice through my veins. Then something strange happened. That night, I went to the bathroom. There were no mirrors, so I turned on my phone camera. The face on the screen looked older than the one I remembered, and when I moved my head, the face on the screen didn't move right away.